Hi everyone, my name is Patrick Cross and I'm the team manager for Wizards District Gaming. Um, just wanted to bring you guys, a coaching clinic that we're running today with our local USO, the Metropolitan Washington and Baltimore area, to go through some gameplay, answer some questions for some fans, and just learn a little bit more about Wizards District Gaming and kind of what we do, as the esports team here in DC, NBA2K League team for the Washington Wizards. So if you have some questions, submit it. I'd love to go over them from some fans, talk a little bit about this, just give you guys some insight on, our operations here. Obviously, I'm the team manager, head coach. I'm also known by PCross11 as my gamer tag. We have our director, Andrew McNeil, who works for the team, and then our business manager, Jordan Zelnick, as well. So we're the three kind of guys who have hands-on operations of Wizards District Gaming business and from a team perspective. I handle all the team operations, scouting, drafting, coaching is also one of them, and like to say half dad, half coach, because I live in the same apartment building with the guys. So really, just creating that team atmosphere and getting everyone to gel together. This is actually my third season, so I've pretty much been here since the inception of this team. Went through the first season, drafted the first team. Last year was the second season, and then this year we're in our third season right now, which is, it's pretty awesome. I mean, combining video games and basketball, it's two of the biggest loves that I have. So, got some questions here for some fans. I want to get to that, so I will just kind of go through a list that I have, and scouting or evaluating talent. What's your favorite thing to do in the off season? That's pretty tough. In the off season, I do watch a lot of games, so I'm usually up till 3, 4 a.m. Um, watching people play pro am with their teams, trying to scout. So that that's the main thing. I do like to play other games, like FIFA, Call of Duty, Madden. Um, Also like to play basketball myself. Got to get back into that though. It's kind of a strange time right now, but would love to. I'm looking at joining a team. Maybe in the fall if everything clears up, obviously. Um, get back to playing some real life hoops. I'm trying to think of what else I like to do in the off season. Just kind of hang with friends, get to see all the people that I usually don't get to see during the season because I'm pretty regimented with just sticking mainly with the team. Visit family, go on vacation. Last year I went to, because I traveled overseas, to Barcelona, London, Italy. So that was really fun. Would love to go back to Italy for sure. Um, and if you hear any barking during this interview, that's my dog Theo that we just got this year. So that will be my off season as well as taking care of him. It's a full time job. So the next question is, why doesn't Pat and Ryan ever load up on pro clubs anymore? Well, that's a great question. There's a couple people I think this is from, which is kind of funny. But I'll just explain what pro clubs is. Like I said, I do like to play FIFA, the video game version of soccer, or sorry, football for Europeans. Um, but pro clubs is the 12v12 version of play with your friends. You control one character. You can play as a striker, midfielder, cornerback or center back. Sorry, goalie or whatever. Um, you match up with other teams. It's not usually 12 on 12. You usually play like with 4 or 5 friends. But I actually have found a pro league that actually does play 12v12 FIFA Pro Clubs, which is pretty cool. And I try to watch them sometimes. It's just really interesting. But it's also very hard because you have 12 guys on a pitch at one time. So kind of getting that communication and teamwork down is probably a little bit unique. But no, I definitely have to get back on the pro clubs grind. We used to do that during our seasons, just like a little stress reliever. Kind of play with some other managers and players in the 2K league. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool just to like get out there and play another game, try to compete against some teams, make a club yourself. Um, so I would definitely recommend it if you're into FIFA, even if you're not. I was never a big soccer guy growing up, but I tended to play FIFA as a video game, and then I kind of grew to love soccer, um, which is really unique. I've had a couple conversations with people, mostly parents, and we talk about how kids are getting into sports nowadays, and most of the time, kids are gonna be playing the video game before they even play the real sport, which is unique. So you could obviously have a kid, you know, maybe a little bit older, and he gets in the NBA 2K, obviously. And he's like, wow, this game's awesome. I want to try it in real life. And then, you can get him signed up for a team, and he can learn basketball that way too. So it's a really unique perspective from parents and the next generation of kids that we're going to have growing up. But anyway, pro clubs, I definitely need to get back into that, get back into the FIFA grind a little bit. Definitely just really fun to play. That's all I can say. Next question is, how does a team primarily spend the off season, and what do you all do to keep yourselves busy in the meantime? So usually our season ends sometime in August, and then the guys usually have a break from August till, I would say, beginning September. I think it's that first week maybe, and then the new game comes out. So then most of the people play the new game like crazy from September on. They get to their pro team, their off-season teams. It's kind of like the NBA has like the Drew League, or any kind of rec leagues for professional NBA players. But for us, there are a couple of not NBA 2K related leagues that our team plays in. So there's like a WR league, it's called MPBA. A couple other ones too that might be a little smaller, but those are the two main ones. And they can team up with anyone they want. They can compete for some money. It's not as much as obviously our $1 million plus prize pool, but it's still good for the guys to get involved. So that's kind of what they do. Is like our season ends August, September comes around, and then just grinding the new game, trying to learn everything you can, because every year the game changes. So realistically, you have to learn the new kind of dribble moves. You have to kind of learn, rebounding mechanics, defense. The closest thing we can say is like, for 1 year the NBA was like, let's make a 4-point line, and then the next year they were like, all right, we'll make dunks 5 points. Like it just changes every year, and you kind of have to adapt to the game. So that's kind of what they do in the off season. Kind of leading up to the next year, and obviously we're scouting, kind of looking at players as well. I would say that probably at the start of September isn't as important as until the combine comes out for our league, which is like October, November, and then that's when the draft process really gets gritty, and you're up till 4 or 5 a.m. just watching guys compete and try to scout them as best they can. But yeah, in the off season, we'll talk to our guys regularly. They usually stream for us as well on our Twitch channel. So, if you ever want to keep involved with WizDG in the off season, the best way is on Twitch. Watch our guys play, stream their games. I'll usually stream as well when I get a chance. Try to think what else we do in the off season to keep busy, but no, that's about it. That's all I can think of. So what do you think the major differences are for the team going into season 3? Is a great question. In our last season, season 2, we were 7-9, missed playoffs by about 2 games, I think, and I can't tell you how many losses were decided by probably 5 points or less, maybe. So our season could have went many different ways if we just had one or two more games. So it was really unfortunate we missed playoffs last year. We were very upset about that. And, it's a big part of moving forward into this season. We really feel like we have a team that can make playoffs and compete for a championship. But obviously we still got to step it one game at a time. We won't get ahead of ourselves. I found that the 2K League can be very unforgiving sometimes in the season. Is when you feel high and you start feeling a little confident, it translates over to cocky. This league will put you right back down and humble you a little bit. So, for us, it's just keeping the guys level-headed, not too high, not too low, kind of an intense focus to realize that we're not satisfied until, we get to the end and see where we are. But then that's, I guess, a major difference for season 3 is obviously we're not going to let, one win make us feel like it's a championship, and we're not going to make one loss feel like, it's the end of the world. We're just gonna keep on pushing, keep on going through, um, and our guys trust each other. Obviously, this is a strange time with the quarantine. We're all quarantined in our apartments. 2 players to an apartment for us, so the guys are just really just playing video games, watching film all day. So that's about the best you can do, which is good and bad. But I'm sure we're all getting a little stir crazy. But really just excited about this team. We have a team that's half rookies. So we have 3 rookies: JBM, B Rich, and Just Awkward. And we got 3 vets. I mean, we got Dave Fry, and we got Reese, and then we drafted Nudini from the Sixers. So it's kind of what I was looking for, to have a good blend of rookies and vets. Obviously, I wasn't like we have to have 3 and 3, but it just worked out that way. And taking Nudini from the Sixers was, I think, a huge thing for hopefully our winning success, and him just bringing that over to us was, I felt, very important this season. So going into season 3, obviously we're 2-1 right now. We're very confident in ourselves. But long season ahead. Like I said, it can humble you real fast if you get too high. So next question, how do you determine the lineup going into each game? Usually I have a dartboard and I just throw it at the. I'm just kidding. I don't do that. It's kind of hard because this year we really do have 6 guys who are just really talented. I'd say there's a couple positions we're usually set at, and then we can kind of rotate at a couple others. But yeah, it's just, Justin, Deanie, B Rich. Like we've had some lineups with them in and out the past couple of games, and I think we've actually had a different lineup our first 3 games. So I like it, but it also is a little stressful at times because it's like, who is playing good right now in scrimmages? Who do I think matches up well with this team? Just all kinds of things you have to think about and obviously put on paper before you make a decision, good and bad, what you think is going to happen. But I don't think, we can ever use a lineup, as an excuse that we lost because our guys are so talented. So I will never say, I should have put in this guy over you, and that's why we lost, because, that would be me not having faith in our guys. And the guys we drafted are all talented enough to go out there and get a win themselves. And, I know it's tough for having one guy sit on the bench for a game, but they are all bought in that if it's better for the team, then that's how it'll be. So I'm really excited about that. But yeah, it is kind of hard sometimes thinking, who's going to play this game, who's going to play that game. But we're all talented enough to play, all of our guys. And like I said, they're bought in. And really, it's just they've been playing well. And sometimes, that's a good thing because they'll push each other in scrimmages. It's like, this guy's playing better than me, or I got to step it up. There's a sense that, like, we can never get complacent in our play, which I kind of like, too. And do you look at other teams, second end of the question, do you look at other teams' lineups and try to match up? It depends sometimes. It depends on the team. But mostly it's kind of a gut feeling of, who might be playing well in scrimmages, who's... I would say sometimes there's a little game planning involved, like, maybe one of our guys does something better that's going to affect the other team. So, it might be better to start him. But like I said before, I'll never blame a loss on a lineup because it's not having faith in my guys, and I have faith in all 6 of them. So it doesn't matter who's in, it doesn't matter who's sitting. We're going to, the lineup's never going to be the issue, never who's in or who's not in. So I'm very confident in our team, and I know they are too. That's kind of my outlook on that. So how do you prepare for a game? Do you watch old games with the other teams? Yeah, so we have all of their games. The league tapes every game for us, so we get to watch them, and they get to watch us as well. So we'll usually watch our previous games, see how we did. We'll watch, any games that the team has played, or maybe even a scrimmage that we have of them when we played them as well. But yeah, I think film is a huge aspect. You kind of learn tendencies that way, and you kind of pick up on things that guys do. So I would say film's pretty huge for us in preparing when we can. Obviously, it's still new in the season, so there's not going to be as much film now as there will be in like 2 weeks. 2 weeks we'll have, 4 or 5 games probably on everyone. But right now, there's a couple teams who haven't even played their first game yet. So their first game is going to be week 3, and we actually play one of those teams, the Pistons, who haven't played yet. So our film was a little bit limited on them, but at the same time, just got to go out there and play. But yeah, film is very important for us. And I would say anyone who's trying to actually make the league, if you can watch film on yourself or actually watch film on some of the best players in the league, pick up on some of those tendencies. It's called emulating. And, there's a great example. Where did Kobe Bryant learn how to play? Michael Jordan. Like, he took a lot of the moves that he has from Michael. You take those moves, you make them your own, and maybe you add a little flavor to them, change them up a little bit. So that's one of the best ways I would say that guys can take their game to the next level and hopefully make the league if you're still looking to. Okay, so that's how do you prepare for a game, and we have kind of a game day ritual. We have checklists we have to hit with the admins. Run a practice quarter at 7:30. We're in Discord. We're talking. Just checking off things. Obviously, because it's for us, it's a little more bandwidth. As far as setting up the games, we're kind of like broadcasters now. We have these huge fly packs, is what they're called. And it's basically like a really, really fancy Elgato that just sends the signal to, I don't know, wherever the league is, so they can put it on the broadcast screen for you guys. So that's also, there's a bunch of check marks we have to hit for that too. But we usually run one scrimmage game that day to kind of get warmed up and kind of get a feel where the team's at. But that's kind of like a little preparation tidbit about us for game days. And then, and that was fast. The game's over already. So the game's over. I'll leave the score up. Still have some questions. I didn't know that was going to go so fast. But obviously this game we played the Heat here. And, this was our second game, I'm pretty sure, in our 3-game series. Obviously Jack had a great game, 24 points. With Ballwell, 5 assists, 3 turnovers. Turnovers, we're always looking to cut those out any way we can. This was a game Ryan, I remember, almost got the triple-double. He had 7 blocks. Very close, but so far away. Obviously double-double, 16 and 17. That was huge for us. Trying to see what else. Delusion went 0 for 6. That helped us from the other team perspective. But yeah, I think it was just a good game all around. And Dini had 7 boards. I mean, if your power forward has 7 boards, you're never going to lose the board count most of the time. So pretty excited. So I think I got like 1 or 2 more questions. I didn't realize the game was going to go that fast. But I guess talking about 2K League, sometimes time just flies by. So I'll answer a couple questions here, and then we'll call it a day, guys. Okay. So the next question, I'm going to see. I have a whole list of them, so I'm just trying to make sure I get to some good ones. So what made you want to be a 2K coach, and how did you get there? I don't know. It's also new. So I was in college at the time, and I was competing in the NBA2K held $250,000 tournaments for Pro-Am 5v5, and obviously that's kind of how I got started into the Pro-Am scene very competitively. Before that, I used to play on a site called Game Battles, which held, you could play in seasons and kind of, they had a leaderboard for teams, and it was 2v2, 3v3, 4v4, 5v5. Team up, you would play with NBA teams, but you would player lock onto someone. So, usually my team would play like a 3v3 or 4v4. And obviously we would lock onto certain players and then play another team and, compete for some prize money in tournaments, compete for stuff in seasons, obviously leaderboards. They had Throwdown as the team I used to play for. And, a bunch of guys are in the league from it too, as well as coaches or players. But, that's kind of how I got started into 2K. I mean, really competitively. That was, back in the day, early or mid, I guess, 2010s. But no, it's just a fun time to compete, and that was before the money was even big. So, I've always loved to play 2K competitively. And then, obviously, when the league was announced, it was like, oh, I want to be a part of this. How can I be a part of this? I was going through the process of, being a player, trying not to be a player, but I also applied for a bunch of manager jobs, coaching jobs. And I'd say midway through the combine process, that's when the Wizards offered me the job. And I said, I can't pass up on this opportunity because I still didn't know if I was going to make the, draft pool. So I just went with it. And that's why I've been here ever since, in D.C. And, D.C. is my home now, and I love this place. It's a great city. It's funny because I actually never really been to D.C. before I got hired here. which is kind of ironic. But I only grew up 2 hours away in Philadelphia, or outside Philadelphia. So, it wasn't. Esports is so new. It's not like there's one path that's gonna work for you. It's probably gonna be a little bit of interning, a little bit of volunteering first, or obviously if you're a really good player, you can also be a player and then learn that way, and then when you get older, probably transition to a manager role. But yeah, I wouldn't say there's one kind of way that's going to work out for anyone. Obviously I was in college when I was playing 2K. Like I said earlier, I got my degree in journalism and public relations, so obviously that helped a little bit, just in presenting myself and having kind of a degree background. I mean, some people aren't looking for that, some people are, so it's kind of a play it by ear thing. But yeah, that's all I can really say about my path. I wouldn't change it. Sometimes I wake up, I don't realize how I got here. It's just a surreal experience that actually people are involved in 2K eSport, or 2K League, and then obviously esports as well. But yeah, it's just a cool experience. And so, last question: are there any other opportunities in the 2K League other than becoming a player coach? Yes, there are a ton of opportunities. You want to go on the business side. Obviously we have a business manager I talked about. I'm trying to think what else. Social media you can get into. I mean, obviously coaching player, but league office probably is looking for help sometimes. Broadcasting games, talent wise, like on-air broadcasters, Scott Cole, Dirk. I think they're really going to open up probably soon. Not because those guys aren't great, but they just need some help sometimes as we grow and get bigger. So there's a ton of jobs that you can do outside of this. Some people have assistant coaches and assistant managers. But yeah, it's just social media, and probably anything from a business like selling sponsorships perspective is pretty huge for teams if you're trying to work on a team side. And content production, obviously, shooting video, producing video. Some people have graphics, leads and staff on their team. It depends on the team. For us, we have 3 people who work directly with the team. Obviously, it's not always just us 3 people, because we do have a production team that helps us. We do have senior leadership that helps us. We do have graphics in-house that obviously does stuff for the Wizards, the Mystics, the G League team, and us. But yeah, I mean, it depends on the team, and obviously if you want to work in the league office, being a game admin, there's a ton of league jobs that I'm sure they'll open up after the season. But yeah, there's just a ton of jobs out there. I wouldn't say that the path is set in stone of how you get there. It's just do you have the pursuit to do it? Do you have the goals to do it? And do you want to do it? That's pretty much at the end of the day what it is. But I just want to thank everyone so much for tuning in. If you have any further questions, please reach out to us on Twitter at WizardsDG. You can also reach out to my Twitter. It's at the PCross11. If you have any questions for me personally, I'm happy to answer any DMs or whatever. But thank you guys. I appreciate it for joining in this little coaching clinic. And I actually have to get to our film session today for our upcoming game. So just like I talked about, we're prepared every day. We're trying to get ready. This has been great. Thank you guys, and we'll talk soon. All right. Take care.